Yes, marriage on trial. You're absolutely correct that it's becoming a disaster every day we pass, and I think that notwithstanding the fact that it also owes a lot to the attitudes between the spouses. One thing in the Western society, if you look at Christians, I mean not just Muslims, you'll find that the divorce laws which are here are one of the reasons for this dissolution. I mean, just not talking about Muslims. If you talk about Christian laws, so you see, unless there is marital unfaithfulness, unless the spouse marries another person, you just cannot divorce. It has to be a mutually agreed divorce. So, I mean, this is slightly unnatural because divorce is, I mean, marriage is something in which both partners, if they consent, they should stay in that bond. If one of the partners would not like to stay with the other partner, Islam allows that dissolution to take place. But here, the state law is that it has to be through mutual consent, or if the husband has been unfaithful, or the wife has been unfaithful, or some very other limited stipulations, and as a result of which people don't marry. I mean, they think that if they get married, the divorce liability is so strong that it's better that you remain like that. So this was regarding our Christian community or the non-Muslim community, which doesn't. I mean, you'll find that they rather stay as partners, or they might cohabit instead of being permanent partners. As far as we Muslims are concerned, I think we are living. I mean, we are the reason, for, in my humble opinion, is that the meaning of marriage is not fully evident to us. You see, marriage is never an ideal thing, and someone has beautifully defined a perfect marriage. So the definition that I really liked was that it goes like this: a perfect marriage is one which is between two imperfect people who come together to hide each other's imperfections. So perfect marriage is not something which is between perfect people because they don't exist. It's always between imperfect people, and you need to play down each other's imperfections. So this is something that we are not generally taught because you see, premarital engagement with the opposite gender, it brings you a certain amount of euphoria. You are in a state of elation, and you are always in that ideal state, and you think that this is something that will exist even after marriage, and whereas it doesn't, because once the marriage takes place, people are exposed to one another because of their habits, because habits are things which are, I mean, they are, you don't get to know them before marriage because you're not living under the same roof. And I was just talking yesterday or day before, taking a session on parenting and successful marriage, and I was telling them that very small things play their role once you get married. For example, when you live in the same room, what should be the temperature of the room, what channel should the TV on, whether I should get up at this time, or whether the alarm should ring or not. And I was actually telling a very interesting story that one of the couples had a very bad debate with each other, and the reason for that altercation was that the wife and the husband were fighting on a toothpaste, and the toothpaste issue was that the wife was insisting that the toothpaste should be pressed from the middle, because if you don't press it, I mean, because she says that if you don't press it from the middle, you don't get enough from the outlet, and the husband was insisting no, it should be pressed from the end, because if you do that, the whole toothpaste remains even. It's like the tube remains even. Otherwise, it becomes bent. So it's a very small thing, but at times these very small things they make a big problem. They become a big problem. And the ultimate solution, which was decided between these couple, was that they had two different toothpastes. It was as simple as that. You don't need to have the same. So you see, it's just at times a question of tolerating the other person's habits and giving your spouse the privacy that he or she would like. So you see, every person is a different person. I mean, we have a different background. My wife would be from a different background. It's a question of accommodating one another, and that accommodation has to be done by giving due allowance that the other person is an independent personality. I must not impose my opinion. So often, what happens is that men tend to impose their opinion, or either women tend to impose their opinion. And as I said, that marriage, instead of becoming a companionship, it becomes a dictatorship. So we have to realize that marriage is not a dictatorship, it's a companionship. It's two people coming together and acting in a way that you are like encouraging one another and downplaying one another's faults, and always realizing that idealism is not the place, this world is not the place for idealism. Maybe in the hereafter, Yes, but in this world, you have to have a working relationship in which there are bound to be flaws, there are bound to be mistakes. You have to forgive and forget. You have to apologize. You have to be friendly, and you have to be tolerant of the other person's habits. And I think these are all the things that we need to be taught before even we enter into marriage. So, like something of the sort of marriage counseling should be done before even we uh, undertake to get married, because what happens is that marriage counseling often takes place when things have gone beyond hand and beyond ourselves. Whereas I think this issue of marriage is something that we must be educated on this well before entering into the bond of marriage.